Oh, hello. Welcome to my pocket of the interweb. I am Sun, the center of this universe, and I will be your guide for the interim. Today's transmission is to be about self-love, right? So obviously this is a vast topic, which we will probably cover in multiple videos, but we have to start somewhere, right? So, let's go. Please excuse the camera position shifting throughout. This is just an acknowledgement that it may have happened and may yet happen still. So we all know that there are a variety of types of love, but speaking generally, natural bodily functions. Speaking generally about love as a power versus love as an expense. This sort of love that is energizing, this love starts with you. You cannot overflow until you are full, right? So, it comes from you. Why is this even a topic of interest? Why discuss this? Why? You'd think that self-love would be the most self-explanatory type of love that we would all be masters at. So, what's up with that? Unfortunately, the vast majority of us are taught to have problems with ourselves. I don't know if you've ever taken the time to observe children, or if you perhaps remember from your own experience as a child, but very small children love themselves. And why shouldn't they? They have no reason not to. Until one day, somewhere, somebody says this fateful thing that either makes the child aware of its own fragility, or it's something about the child not being able to do something, or just generally not being good enough. That child, who is most of us, did not yet have a fully developed brain and had no defenses whatsoever, honestly, to be spoken of, against this idea. And therein begins, the compiling of all the reasons why you are sometimes unlovable, or just occasionally not worthy of love. And those feelings, those ideas, they take root and they extend and grow and influence the way you interact with yourself, ultimately. Because when you start to dislike yourself, and you don't have to dislike you as a whole, you may just dislike parts of you or some things you do sometimes. But when you begin to dislike yourself, what do you do to those you dislike? You might try to hurt them. At the very least, you avoid them, and therein would be neglecting yourself, right? That's not good. And in fact, it can be quite damaging over time. So what do we do about this? How do we recapture? How do we reclaim that original love? Alternatively, how do we begin right here and now a practice of greater self-love and self-care? Shift change. Filming was briefly interrupted, but we persevered and now we are here. So while we're here, feel free to tap the subscribe button to enter my orbit. Now back to our regularly scheduled programming. So I would say the first step, or at least one of the most essential steps, in this self-love journey is to let go of the shame that you were given. And perhaps also do your best to let go of the resentment that might go along with this shame toward whomever you received it from. You let it go in the understanding that everyone is always doing their best. Everyone. This is said in the sense of, like in the movies, to the bad guys, the good guys are the bad guys because the bad guys are doing their best from their perspective in their given situation with what they have. And your best will tend to fluctuate, by the way. It's based on a variety of factors, right? Your best. It's based on your current nutrition, your current amount of rest. How much did you sleep last night? How have you been treated all day? Are you injured or uncomfortable physically in any way? All of these things matter and affect your daily best. So you let go of the shame that you were given and you accept you in the understanding that even when the little judge in your mind deems you to have failed, that failure is essential to building skill. And as Alan Watts said, you can't have pleasure without skill. I really like that. Accept that even your failures are part of the process and be grateful for this experience that has brought you to now. So don't turn away from yourself. How can you even change something that you can't look at? Just remind yourself gently. And that's the next thing, is speak to yourself gently, like you would someone you love, or like that saying, be the person that you needed when you were small. Most of us have, our internal judge is not the most tactful. And that's because it is an imprint of those other people. So the way that you would care for baby you, little you, the way you would listen to and celebrate, this is how you should treat yourself. This is the least you deserve. After everything, check in with and on yourself. How are you doing? Is there anything that you need? The way that you would, little you. People who love themselves take care of themselves. So make sure you take time to yourself, to recharge, to clean your body and your energy fields. Do things that will make you feel looked after and cared for. And be honest with yourself about what you need. Don't just run from distraction to distraction. Sometimes we need to be alone and take care of ourselves. And we'll be, about to do that, and then somebody will contact us, and then we really want to go out, and we don't want to miss out on whatever the fun is going to be. But really, in truth, maybe you need some sleep or whatever. And if you don't, you end up sick, etc. We have to care for ourselves. You have to. You cannot neglect yourself forever. Invest in yourself. Invest time in yourself. Invest money in yourself the way that you do to so many others. So when you're investing this time in yourself, and just across your brain drifts this thought that triggers this feeling that makes you want to obsess about the FOMO, etc., or anything, upsetting and not loving toward yourself, And that could be anything, because you can't judge and love yourself at the same time. You can't feel grief and gratitude at the same time. That's my new favorite quote, one of my new favorite quotes. You cannot feel grief and gratitude at the same time. So refocus on gratitude. Instead of feeling sad that you can't do something or be somewhere or be talking to this person, etc., be grateful that that person or that thing, etc., exists. There is so much more time in the world. And that person and that thing will still be there. And if it's not, then it's not meant to be there. You don't need it. You deserve better. You deserve what's for you. On that note of people and things that are meant or not meant to be in your sphere of existence, set boundaries. You need to set boundaries to teach people how to treat you. You are allowed to have a line, draw that line, and if somebody crosses it, they're canceled. On the other hand, you are also allowed to change your mind, and you will. That just happens with growth and evolution, and so, just keep that in mind. Don't judge yourself for that either, because that is not the point of the journey. Through all of these things, what you absolutely need to be able to achieve these things, you must be brave enough to try. You have to want it enough to try. Nobody can self-love you for you. Understand that anxiety lies. Anxiety lies about how much you can take, how much you can accomplish, how much you can handle. It lies, and the only way to prove it wrong is to be brave enough to try. You have to try. But you won't try until you're ready. Free will. Another thing that you can do is to tell yourself that you love yourself in the mirror. If you need to hear it and you want to feel it, try it. This is a practice. This is not like a one-time magic spell. I look in the mirror, I say I love you, and poof. No. But it helps if you need to hear it and receive it, to give it to yourself. Look yourself in the eyes. You can also look up affirmations online, self-love affirmations. There are loads of them. And read them out loud. It's important that you hear these things. And lastly, I think, something that has really helped me when I have free time, but I'm feeling ways, and I just need comforting, and I'm kind of lost because I'm just lost in my feelings, to have previously written out a list of comforting things that make me feel better. So on my list I have things like cocooning myself in a blanket, eating chocolate chip cookies, and watching either like a sci-fi or horror film. Things that make you feel good, that aren't crazy expensive, that are just, a few dollars or less, just an experience, something that makes you feel better, a bath, etc., Cheap to free. Nothing on this list should be expensive, it should be easily accessible. Although we should not constantly seek to distract ourselves, sometimes our brains do just need a break from all that we are stressing about. It may take some time, but just also like you can just add more to the list as they come to mind. But yeah, that's a nice thing for when you do just need a break. When you found that you feel better, because invariably you will notice that you are feeling relieved, and then you'll remember it comes flooding back to you. So when it does, just Focus on gratitude. Be grateful to your past self for having written this list that you could refer to that has brought you to this new emotional space, right? And just stay there until it is time to act anew, and you will know when the time to act is. Alright, lovely humans, this has been Self-Love Part 1. I truly hope that you got something out of this that you can integrate into your own personal self-love journey, because it is truly a blessing to realize that you are good for yourself, that I've got my back more than anyone else. Tap like if you feel me. You'll be seeing me next time.